For quite a while now, I've been wanting to get some postcard displays that I can use during my art markets. And it's been years actually, like 2 or 3 years, and I haven't been getting anything because they're expensive, couldn't decide on the right one, they were too small, possibly too heavy. I've been considering to DIY one or two, and I haven't been getting around to it. So anyway, finally, I found something that might suit my need, and I bought not one, but two. So here it is. It just arrived, and now you're going to see what we got actually. Here we are. It's not the sturdiest thing in the world. It's, you know, a little bit shaky like this, but it's not really a big deal. I think it's going to do just fine. It's going to do exactly what I need it to do. Actually, I think in the picture it had a little bit of legs down here. I wonder if they are somewhere that I've missed. Nope. Well, too bad. Well, there is another one in the box there, but I'll unpack that in a minute. I want to actually test it with some cards on and see what that's like. Okay, so here's what it looks like with cards on. By the way, excuse my home fashion. I like to be comfortable and potato when I'm at home, which is also my office, so also at work, I guess. I mean, anyway, yeah, I think it looks very nice. Until now, I always had my cards laying flat on the table at markets. And while that works fine, I think for one thing, it doesn't really catch the eye as you pass by the table. You have to really stop and look to really see them. The other thing was that like the upper part above the table, it was always kind of empty. I felt like I'm not really using my space properly, and especially at smaller markets when the tables were smaller, it was really hard to fit everything, so this will look great for that. But one weakness that I can see is that the cards fall pretty low, so to say. So on the higher levels, it's kind of hard to see the text down here, and that plays a big part in these cards. It's a part of what makes the cards is the text. So I think it's very important to see that. So I'll see how I can fix that. One thing is that maybe I'll cut thick cardboard, maybe from the box that this came in, and maybe I'll put it under here so the cards are a bit more lifted. Another thing is that maybe I'll clip them up here or something, or maybe I'll be putting them more like this on the edge, which will be very, yeah, this won't be great because they'll be falling off a lot. I think this will probably work better with the greeting cards, but in any case, this is good. I can work with that. So yeah, I will probably put something down here to lift them a little bit so that one can see the text. Yeah, so that's my review of this thing. And I have my next market coming up in a month. There's one in between that I don't know if I should sign up for because it's outdoors and the weather is tricky, but we'll see about that. And anyway, we'll test it on the next market, and hopefully this will be a good purchase. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so I've been tinkering with this a little bit, and I think that when I put the cards at the back of the row, they stay more, I don't know, in a way that it's easier to read the text behind if you're close enough, but it's hard to make them stand in this way. So I've come up with this string that keeps them sort of straight. It's not the best thing in the world, and the string kind of obstructs the illustration a little bit, which I'm not too keen on, but maybe with a thinner, more invisible string it will work better. But yeah, it needs a bit of a touch because I think the cards do lose something if you cannot read the text. So it's important to find a solution to. And this is so far the easiest thing that I've come up with. Yeah, that's fine. It's not too bad. All right, it is the day before the market and I have done a little bit of engineering on this thing. I've installed this elastic thing to hold the cards up the way I want them to stand. And I think I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think it's going to be good. So in between now and the last time you saw me, I had an outdoors flea market that I went to, and it was a bit windy. It was an interesting experience. It was very experimental. I had attached this thing to the back of my bike because at the time when I applied for the market, there was no more tables left. So I basically just got the floor space and I had to figure it out by myself. I think it worked out fine. I didn't film anything because it was just not the moment for that. It went fine. It rained. I managed to escape just in time, so that was fine. What I learned basically out there is that what I needed is some kind of elastic to hold the thing. I've tried it with a string, which was pretty okay. It was actually kind of working. I also tried clipping the cards to the thing. I've tried all kinds of things and I think I've arrived at the best solution. So tomorrow the market is inside, so I'm not too worried about that. This is just more for neatness sake. But I do plan to try and have more markets outside because why not? You know, the weather is nice. And I've had this idea for the longest time to just take my bike out in the city in some tourist place and see how that goes. A few years ago, I actually even applied for the permission to do that and I got it. It was not hard at all, but I never really figured out how to do it off of my bike. But now that I have this thing and that I've actually tried it, and especially now with this elastic situation, which I think it's perfect, but it still needs a bit of testing, I think I have all I need. So I will reapply for permit because they expire at the end of the year. And yeah, I think I will probably see you tomorrow at the market. In the meantime, the city was going a bit crazy because at the end of June, the high school students graduate and they ride around town on these big trucks, listening to loud music, making noise, celebrating. It looks pretty fun and I'm happy for them. And then was time for the market. My setup worked really well. I'm very happy with how it all turned out. And it's great to finally have this more professional looking setup that I've been wanting for a really long time. It's good to see my little shop progressing like that. And then afterwards, we had a bonfire with friends because it was midsummer time and, well, we wanted to. And that was very nice. It went really, really late. At the time the last people left the bonfire, the sky was already starting to get brighter, even though it was like 3 in the evening, but the days are really, really long in summer here, which is great. And I just decided to stay a little bit longer with the fire, let it burn out and go meet the sunrise, as I like to do every now and then. It was very, very misty in the fields, just as I like it, and very peaceful. It was a very long day. In the same day, I had the market, I had a bonfire party thing, and I stayed up all night, and I wasn't even tired, actually. I think summer can be so energizing, and experiencing a misty sunrise in the fields is really peaceful, and I think just what I needed after a really long and busy day. So I'm just back from a market, not the one you saw me set up for, that was way back, and that was nice. But today's market was outdoors, it was a flea market, and I wanted to try it, and it was horrible. The market itself was perfectly fine, but the weather was not cooperating. It was extremely windy. It was hard to keep things on the table, even though I think I figured out a nice way to make that work. There was a possibility of rain, which is scary when you sell cards and paper stuff, but it didn't rain, so that was fine. And the worst part was I was having some cramps, and even though I took medicine, it didn't help. It was very uncomfortable the entire time. So it happens this weekend that there is no one around that I could have asked for help. So I also had to stay there the entire time, couldn't even go to the toilet because, yes, I could ask the people next to me to watch my stuff, but I had to hold it down the entire time because the wind was blowing so much and they had to take care of their own stuff because there was stuff flying around all of the time. And I had to stand the entire time because the place where I could sit was too far from the table, and I had to be at the table holding my stuff down. And on top of it all, I barely sold anything, which was kind of to be expected because flea market is not exactly, I don't know, I think where the crowd I'm after hangs out, but you never know. So I couldn't even make the money for the market back, and they were not a lot, they were very little, so that's crazy. So I feel like it was such a physically tiring and uncomfortable and unpleasant time, and it was not worth it at all. Multiple times I was thinking about just leaving middle market because I was miserable, I wasn't selling, it was not good, but I don't know why I kept sticking. Sunk cost fallacy, I guess. And yeah, I was just thinking about hard work and how it doesn't mean anything really. You can work extremely hard and achieve absolutely nothing some days or in general. At the same time, you can put barely any work in something and it can turn out amazing. I have cards I made that I scribbled something in half an hour. One of those cards I'm thinking of. The illustration itself is so easy. The concept was so like, I don't know, low-hanging fruit, I feel. And it's one of my best sellers. I don't know, I haven't calculated exactly how much I've made out of this card, but it's crazy and it's great, but you also never know what thing will be successful and what won't. Sometimes, yeah, you can put a ton of effort in something and it could be a complete waste of time. Sometimes you barely bother and it's absolute success. Everything is just absolutely random. And I'm trying to remind myself to just not worry about things so much because there is no formula. There is no sequence of efforts you can put to get a particular result out. It's just haven't been my experience. It just doesn't work that way. And pressuring yourself to do things, especially things that don't feel right and just are too much effort to be worth it for you, maybe you just shouldn't. But on the other hand, there is one thing that is always worth it, and it's so easy to forget, and that's to rest and have a chill moment. Because doing this always pays off. Always. You always feel better afterwards. You're always more refreshed. You absolutely need this. Killing yourself with hard work doesn't guarantee absolutely anything. Resting always guarantees something good. So, I guess that's where I want to end this video. Even though this is kind of unrelated to markets, and the whole video I think has been kind of random and weird, but that's how it came out, and that's how it's going to be. And now I'm going to have some rest for the rest of the day and do absolutely nothing and enjoy every second of it, because the whole day up until now was awful and I hated it. And I'm glad that part is over. So let's go enjoy ourselves. I'll see you next time, maybe. And until then, have fun.